Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Channel Update. Boy, it's been quite a long time. I'm sorry that I actually haven't been doing more of these updates like I used to. I used to go ahead and do one of these updates once a month, but I think it used to be a little bit different because when I started doing these updates once a month, it was when I was doing other types of videos and content, so they were more common. I think it's kind of like unfair if I present a channel update every once a month and rob you of a video that you might enjoy. So I'm trying to make these videos a little bit more dynamic. So without delaying it too much, what we're going to do this time around is, of course, we're going to answer some questions. These are going to be taken directly from the people who have contacted me on Reddit or the comment section on YouTube. I'll also read any notifications that I get, such as like new subscribers and everything that's sort of like immediate, you know. I'm not really trying to make such a huge deal out of it. But before that, I just want to talk to you a little bit about what's been going on my end and what the future is for the channel. So everything has been a little bit complicated and a little bit difficult for me in the past couple of weeks. I've been dealing with some stuff. I don't quite know if I want to. I can't really talk about it, not because I don't want to talk about it, but because there's really not that much to say about it. In life, you have ups and downs, and there's nothing, too much that we can talk about. I was surrounded by my family's here on vacation, so there's obviously, issues that arise around family gatherings, nothing extraordinary. I've had friends around as well, people that were once in my life that are no longer in my life, issues that friends have, and so it's been a tiring month in terms of both being there for other people and also needing other people to be there for me. That's what I'm going to say about it. But thankfully, everything has an end, and so you can move past disappointments, and you can always rely on real, true friends that know you and that understand when you need support. So having said that, nothing too crazy has been going on. As for the channel itself, as always, we continue working on our projects and working on the WoW mods. We've got several mods, of course, now that you've been taking a look at. I've been considering doing other series. I've been playing a lot of like different games, so I continued doing a little bit of Mordhau. As will probably be evident by footage that you'll see on the video right now. I've also been playing a little bit of RimWorld, which is, I'm kind of like late to the game, but I'm really enjoying RimWorld, and playing some of that has been fun. What else? I've been playing a couple of other games, not like, you get into them and then you suddenly stop playing them. Not a huge deal. The channel, continues going strong. Like I said before in some of the videos, I'm trying to, make the channel grow, and I've asked all of you for help. So if you want to share my videos, if you think they're interesting and you want to share them on Reddit, by all means, go ahead and share them on Reddit, on Discord, on forums, wherever you want. You have my permission to share it. If it's going to help, the channel get a little bit of exposure, hopefully we'll get to the 500 mark sometime soon, and eventually to the 1,000 mark would be nice. And having said that, I'm not really going to talk more about that, and let's go straight into the comments, and let's go into the Q&A section of this video. So we're going to go ahead and start with Reddit asks. Richie Topad asks, what about making horde zones on the Eastern Kingdom? Seems like you've made many alliance stuff. Bias much? Richie, I do agree with you. Most of the stuff that I've done has been in the Eastern Kingdoms, because I've been doing a lot of like rebuilding and looking at some of the more traditional areas. But I'm an old fan of the Warcraft universe. So pretty much Warcraft 1, 2, and 3, including, all took really place in the Eastern Kingdom. So it's some of the things that I, as a WoW fan and as a Warcraft fan, I was more interested in. But in terms of balance, yeah, I do agree, and I do have some idea of some horde settlements or some horde encampments that I want to put into the Eastern Kingdoms. So it's gonna come. It's gonna come. Don't worry. I'm not 100% alliance biased. You know, it's gonna come. Don't worry. Lurker Merker asks, is there any reason you don't use newer resources for Wrath of the Lich King? I'm not angry. I'm just curious. Well, this is a question that I've answered before a couple of times, and it's normal to ask the question, especially in Reddit. Well, the short answer to that is I like vanilla. A lot of people like vanilla. I like how it looked. I didn't have a huge issue with it, and I don't play retail WoW. I concentrate on private projects, which means that I'm fine staying with like the style that existed then. I also don't mind taking some resources here and there, but what I don't want to end up doing is having to create a patch which contains massive amount of resources from later versions of the game. I think it's kind of pointless. If you want to see that in that version of the game, or if you want to play that, well, you should just play that version of the game. There's really no point in staying at Wrath of the Lich King if you have an issue with how things look. But it's a matter of personal preference, so that's really all that I'm going to say about that. Jason Darthmouth asks, been a long time viewer, just wondering why you haven't posted channel updates or given me details of your life. I don't mean to pry, but it's always cool to hear updates from your favorite creators. Thank you, Jason Dartmouth. The long, I guess the long or the short answer to that question is, it's just that I haven't, like I said at the very beginning of this video, I haven't been making as many channel update videos, and channel update videos were kind of the place where I got to answer some of the personal questions or share some of the personal stuff from my life in relation to how it would impact the channel. In the past that I have, and a lot of people have been incredibly supportive to it. In fact, when I wasn't working a couple of years back, a lot of people who knew me both personally and fans got in contact with me and provided me with certain opportunities that allowed both the channel to keep on going and for me to actually continue living. So I don't really mind that. It's just that I really haven't gotten into the practice of doing that, and I've just been busy as hell. But I did share some information at the beginning of this video, so hopefully that'll be good enough. And if you all want to talk about that or just go ahead and ask me questions, you're more than welcome to do that on the comment section. Really, that's not a problem at all. Denny the Dreamer 2003 asks, any chance we can get you to do streams on Twitch or something like that? The type of work you do seems like it would be ideal for streaming live. I don't know. I've never really had a stream. I think I have an account on Twitch. I don't think that I've actually ever thought about like setting it up or getting that going. I've been curious. Sure, I'd be down for that. I mean, I don't know if people would really be interested in seeing me work hours on end on really tedious work about like WoW modding, but it might happen. It's just a matter of me getting into that, eventually. So if you bug me enough about it, I might get around to it. Okay, so moving on to YouTube comments. First comment that we have is from Nikai. Loved your video as always. Blizzard is crazy not to make the High Elves an allied race. They need to hire you and let all our dreams come true. And I really think if we get the High Elves, WoW will go up a little. So, Nikai, I take it that you mean subscription for WoW. WoW is one of those games that right now I don't think much can be done to help it. It's a game that's been running for a really long time. They haven't given it really a chance to rest in terms of like really thinking where the lore of the game is going and where these storylines are going. They just keep sort of like throwing continuous storylines without, I think, giving it much thought. So I don't think that's really going to improve it. Also, I would love it for it to be the case. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made the mods for the High Elves. But to be fair, Blizzard has been, at least current Blizzard, has always just been absolutely against the idea. The reason is, as far as I understand it, they believe that if that was ever a case, that would detract from the Blood Elf population and overall sort of affect the situation with the Horde. Because if you remember in Vanilla, the Horde had really lower population numbers, and the Blood Elves, when they were introduced and they were put into the Horde, sort of like in against everything that we know about lore, it really did start to swell the numbers of the Horde. So sadly, I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. I also want to thank a new subscriber, Elliot Wardle. Thank you for joining the channel. Following comment is from Luis Mieres Pina. Have you thought about a Naga cave near some ruins? It would be awesome too, like the instance in Northern Ashenvale. Yes, I have thought about it. I'm having a couple of issues right now with the Naga map. It turns out that as you walk in-game towards the Naga Palace that you've seen in some of the couple mods, the game crashes. I have no idea what it is. I have to like really experiment with it. It's gonna set the mod back a little bit, because until I know exactly what it is that's causing the crash, I really can't expand. But yeah, Naga caves and Naga ruins in an island where the Naga are going to be sort of like the principal antagonist, yeah, sure, it's going to come, no worries. Thanks to a new subscriber, to HJIOS, or Oz. Thanks for joining. The more the merrier. Next question is from Mem Squad. Awesome work as always. I like the idea of the Naga being the main threat, and adding to the Horde Alliance on the zone makes it even more interesting. Also, retexturing ended up being really cool and fitting the Night Elf style. I'm working too on my server, and I want to make some kind of dark grim sort of map, like Vampire, but with more forest and stuff. I'm taking inspiration from other games, so I ended up being a little bit frustrated though. Do you have any tips? Oh, and by the way, it would be really cool if you made a tutorial about custom skyboxes on certain areas. I may need it in the future. First thing is, yes, we might talk about like the custom skyboxes. It's a little bit confusing because that's all done through the databases. So you won't be placing anything, and I don't make custom skyboxes. I use skyboxes that are currently existing in the game, so we'll have to talk about that. I think I did answer, and I gave you a nice answer, but I'll sort of like repeat what I think is what should be your main focus. I think that when we design areas, we don't want to do things, I mean, it depends on what you're doing. If you're designing like a battleground or something like that, you really want to look at it like from very technical standpoints and make sure that, players are spawning in sort of like proportionate areas and that they have all of this. But if you're really just creating a zone which is telling a story, you really have to get some ideas of what it is that you're trying to tell. What is the story? What's the background behind the factions and the map? Where are things placed? And once you have that, then you begin fleshing out an area. And it's always important to ask yourself, well, what are some of the particularities of these? Are these warlike people? Where these people are weapons going to be available? Are these jails? Are these farmlands? Do they need outhouses? Do they need places to eat? Do they need places to stay? Do they need barracks? Do you need caves? It's all like you have to think about this. And that's really going to, create the feel for the area that you're trying to make. So I hope that helps, Mem Squad, in that answer. New subscriber, Horiazafai. Thanks for subscribing. It's really awesome. All right. So, following question is by Enthused Norseman. Since you've modeled Gilneas and Kultiris and remodeled Stormguard and Dalaran, I can't help but think, how'd you do Alterac, perhaps the least thought of destroyed human kingdom? Enthused Norseman, of course, a longtime member and commenter of the channel. I haven't really thought about it. One of the reasons I really haven't thought about it is because a lot of the mods that I have sort of made, yes, they are reimaginings of these areas, but I've always thought that they take place in an alternate future, or what would happen if in around the Wrath of the Lich King, players would build up these factions. But a lot of that, and I think the one that really does change that a bit is Stormguard. I didn't really want to change the vanilla areas too much because that would involve removing quests, relocating NPCs, so I haven't really thought about it. And Alterac is one of those kingdoms where we really don't know much about it in terms of like its culture, its people. We know about its heroes. We know about like what happened in Warcraft 2. We know about what's his face, the dragon, who is in disguise as the leader of Alterac, but I haven't really given it much thought, and I don't think, unless it was like commissioned for me to do it, I don't think I would really get into it too much. So I hope that answers your question, Norseman. New subscriber, Bepsi, or whatever that is. Thanks for joining. Following question from John Johansson. It's really interesting to see you do the restores of WoW Ruins, but also expand into brand new original content. Are there any areas that you've ever thought about restoring, like the Kirin Var village in Outlands, or the new Night Elf Blood Elf settlement in Northrend, since they didn't get either in that expansion? Really digging these modding videos, just curious about more. So, short answer to that question is no, I haven't really thought about doing any expansions in Outland or Northrend. Northrend, in fact, I've never really thought about touching, nor do I think about touching. There's a very technical reason for that. In Northrend, the Nougat editor is very unstable, so it tends to crash quite a bit. So I don't want to mess around too much with Northrend. So that's just on that end. Outlands, I haven't really tried. I could look into it, but it's not really in my scope. You have to understand that a lot of like the places that I choose to edit or create expansions are on the original vanilla map, because before Cataclysm there are tons of really empty areas in that original map, and it's really easy to edit and to integrate them into the game as additional content without changing too much. So I hope that answers your question. A new subscriber, Conialis45. Thanks for joining. Next question is from Chrome Dragon. Amazing work, man. Have you ever considered posting your videos on Reddit, specifically the classic WoW and classic WoW Plus ones? A lot of people would really like to see this. I haven't. I do share it on two, I believe, subreddits that allow for creators to post their videos, but aside from that, I just really don't have like the time to, first of all, be an active Redditor. So a lot of like Reddit and subreddits require you to have a certain amount of post, or they have their own rules, or they have rules about creators posting their own content, and if you don't follow them, they'll consider that like spam, and that'll negatively affect your whole like Reddit account. I don't know much about it, but I haven't really thought about it. However, if you are, if you want to help me out, you can go ahead and you're an active Redditor. Please go ahead and share my videos on any Reddit that you deem fit, and that would be really great and greatly appreciated. So thanks for that comment, Chrome Dragon. New subscriber, Default Dan, thanks for joining. Valor asks, I was just saying to myself how I would use the old HE model for the Highborn Night Elves, the Chendralar and Feralas in my mod, because even though many people know about them, the model is still in the game for the Ghosts and Ghostlands and Blasted Lands, or Occultists, or the Silvermoon, like the Silvermoon Guardians. They could be altered spellbreakers fitting your mod. Before they changed them, most of the players forgot about them. I'm actually very tempted to create a mod thanks to you. It would be in Kalimdor, although that is still hypothetical a lot. Valor, you read my mind. As always, thanks again for all your comments and support. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought because the original High Elf models, which were used for High Elves and also Blood Elves in vanilla, were strongly based off of the Night Elf model, which makes sense because they're related. But now that when we had like the the Blood Elf model and all those other updates, those models were left in the game and they weren't used. So I too thought that it would be a good idea to have them or to use them to represent the Highborn and to see sort of like a physical difference between them. New subscriber, Webstalker X46. Thanks for joining. Oh, it looks at that. It looks like I also cut off a bit of like Valir, so I'm going to read another part of his question. Sorry about that, Valir. Naga City looks promising a lot. You showed us more than you probably wanted. Horde settlement would be near the Alliance one, or you could prolong that area a bit to create more space between these two settlements. It also depends on what is currently the state between factions in your mode. Truce War. 95 to 99% complete Stormguard. You know how to hype. I have a question about one thing I always wondered about, and that is the fatigue area adjustable in the old content. Could it be created by you freely? Being on more platforms is always more beneficial than just being on one. Maybe on Twitter, I could definitely retweet your videos. I just have a few followers there. I've always been posting your HE mod on the WoW forums EU as well. As always, keep up the great work. Thanks, Valier. I really, really do appreciate all your support. You really are a great member of the community, like many of you who are always continually supporting. Okay, yes, I am teasing the heck out of all of you with Stormguard. It's going to come out pretty soon, so get ready for that, okay? The fatigue area, is it adjustable and can I create it freely? No, sadly, I do not know how to do that at all, so I have to work within the limits of that. I thank you again for sharing all your videos on different forums and retweeting. Always amazing. Thanks for doing that. Isaac R says, great work. I only have the tail end of the stream, but I love how things are coming together so far. The palette and overall aesthetic of the islands is chef's kiss. I love the stormy skybox and mists. It really does give it all a beautiful but ultimately dangerous and mysterious vibe. I'm also excited to hear about the Stormguard progress. Can't wait to check that out when it's all ready. When it comes to getting your name out, I gotta admit, I'm pretty stumped on ideas other than Reddit. I'll have to scout out and see which subreddits would be the best to post on. Otherwise, I'll continue mentioning your channels to my friends for now. Haha. Thanks, Isaac R. That's all I'm really asking for. I'm not really like asking, people to go above and beyond. I myself am sometimes limited by my time, from work and, life in general. So I really appreciate anything that you can do. And chef's kiss to all of you guys, for doing what you can to help me out. New subscriber, John Jimenez 2K. Thanks for joining. Spy the Shadow says, hello there, almost forgot that you exist. How can I? After all, you are one of my top 10 YouTubers. Thanks, Spy the Shadow, for that amazing support. I hope you continue watching the channel, because it's amazing. And finally, the last comment comes from a weird dude. Pretty amazing. Your videos are a huge source of motivation for me to do my own work, but I have not really made any custom stuff yet. We'll see though. Anyways, I saw someone comment on about Discord, and you mentioned that you weren't really too good with it. But if you would like to give me permission, I'd be happy to make a fan Discord or something like that, a channel where people can spread around and generally do stuffs together, since we're all like-minded about these things. Do let me know. So, a weird dude, thanks again for your continued support and for suggesting this. You have my full permission. Go ahead, set it up. And we can talk about that a little bit later on. I think it's a great idea. If we have a place where I could sort of like drop in and maybe engage in some conversation more directly on and off, or drop some screenshots, or just generally have a place where we can share resources, that'd be great. I think it's a great idea, so long as I am not someone who's like directly managing it. I think it's a really, really great idea, and I would really, really appreciate it. And if you get that going, I'll be sure to put some, to give it a promotion on the channel, and just let people know that there is a Discord channel available for all the people who are on the channel and who are fans of the content. So after having said that, we're getting close. The video is getting pretty long now, but I think I got most of the questions that came in, fairly lately, and I just want to take the time to really thank all of you again. I can't say it enough. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for watching the videos. The only reason that I'm doing this is so that you can watch them, enjoy them, and hopefully in the future you'll actually be able to play with some of the mods. So until then, everybody, thank you again for all your support, and I will see you next week with some more videos. Until then, bye-bye.